just when you thought it was safe to go back in the water. The legend continues.
Chief Brody, can we go, please? Over there!
Welcome back, Sims fans. In today's build, it's going to be something special. A tribute to the film that made us all afraid to go into the water. In honor of the 50th anniversary of Jaws, I'm recreating Amity Beach right here in The Sims 2. Stick around to the end and I'm going to show you exactly how you can download this lot and bring a little summer terror right to your own game.
For that you get the head, the tail, the whole damn thing.
Today, we're going to be talking about the inspiration for this build and the tips and tricks I used along with the custom content to achieve my vision for Amity Beach. Issues I encountered while playtesting this lot and the solutions to fix them. Stories about growing up in the 1970s, how you can get this lot for your game, not in any particular order because my brain works like a shark stuck in a whirlpool. You're watching me do some terrain manipulation in order to create some sand dunes. I am terrible at this kind of stuff and I did nothing but complain about this the entire time that I did it. I started with a medium-sized beach lot in Blue Water Village. I did not want to do this on a vacation lot because I figured I wanted to go to the beach anytime I wanted. Then the next thing I did, well, not even the next, this was the first thing I did before I ever even started this. I researched old photos of the set of Jaws and Martha's Vineyard in 1975. I do remember being a child. I would have only been 5 years old at this point or a little bit older. No, I'm lying. I would have been 8 years old in 1975. But I remember the beach and that sort of thing. Maybe a little bit older. I would have been a little bit older probably from when I remember this. But I wanted to see what did it look like back then. And I'm going to throw some photos up of Jaws and the beach that I was looking at so you can get an idea. But I remember going to the beach as a child and you would just kind of drive into a large parking lot. There was a lot of scrubby grass and you'd be walking. There wouldn't even really be like a boardwalk. It would be like boards and you'd kind of walk through sand dunes. But anyway, what I was thinking here is I wanted a big sand dune kind of to separate the beach, where if you haven't seen Jaws, the original Jaws, please go see it unless you're really, really young or really scary. Anyway, it's scary. And they had a fire pit where the teenagers were having a fire at the beginning. So that's going to be off to the right side of my beach where I don't want anybody swimming. And then on the other side is kind of the main beach. And I wanted to separate that. So that's what you're going to see at the beginning here. And I also then went and got a bunch of custom content. And I'm going to have lists of all the custom content. Then other than the custom content that I downloaded for this, I basically used what I could that was original to the Sims 2 game. I didn't mention this earlier, but the move objects cheat was on from the second I started building because honestly, I don't build anything without it. It's my ride or die. I was especially excited when I found the changing room custom content because that was the classic Jaws beach vibe I was hoping to anchor for my boardwalk look. I also wanted to throw down beach umbrellas all over the sand because I felt then your Sims could throw down their, beach towels. I just lost the word. Now, for my original vision for the boardwalk. What I wanted or thought that I wanted ended up evolving because it didn't work when I did the play testing. I wanted a hot dog stand, a sort of restaurant, not a restaurant that you could eat in, but you know, like a counter that the Sims could come up and eat at. Then I wanted working changing rooms, which we obviously got. And then I wanted a working bathroom. You're going to see as we move along, nothing really works the way that I planned. And that was part of the fun. But I really learned a lot doing this. We're going to start here with the hot dog stand, which I think evolved the most as I went along. There is always that one thing that tortures you in a build, and it was the hot dog stand. We're going to talk a lot about this stand today. But first, I want to bring your attention to the two objects to the far side next to the cash register. And believe it or not, they are a cool custom content thing that you could sell hot dogs and corn dogs from. And I had visions of my Sims enjoying these at the beach. My color scheme for the build was white and orange based on the Amity photos. I was also then able to get some vintage recolors of my favorite backlit signs, which you're going to see here in a minute, and I love these. Now, I'm not sure that they were exactly 1975 colors, but I think they added a great nostalgic vibe. I will again link in the comments below and then later tell you how you can get all of this stuff and find it for your builds. I'm going to pull myself away from the magic of lighting, which I love, and I'm going to mention two building cheats which I use in the next part. One is the snapObjectsToGrid, and the other is boolProp allow 45-degree angle of rotation, both of which I will put in the description down below. The first one I used in order to get the cash register to place where I wanted it, and it actually is one of the things that worked in the hot dog stand. And I want you to notice, with the magic of editing, that's why all of those pieces of custom content are on our boardwalk, and you didn't see the hours that it took for me to go in and find them. I am then going to place them around our beach so that it looks like there is some beach clutter. You're going to see on the one side where the fire is that I wanted to put some driftwood and that sort of thing. I absolutely loved our shark attack billboard, and there is a shark in the water, which you get to see a little bit more later before we move on to our restaurant. It was at about this point that I was feeling relatively good about the hot dog stand, which I now know was foolish, and I moved on to the other eatery, and this was the one that I really thought was going to be trouble. I wanted to put in a little counter and have the host station. That ended up being my only real problem with the eatery. And then I did kind of a little, you're gonna see me kind of do a bump in on the right hand side, and that was because, like I had said at the beginning, in the original Amity design they had almost like an outdoor arcade, and I wanted to honor that a little bit with an arcade, and so I did put arcade originally over there. A lot of stuff here ends up getting moved around, but this particular cute little diner always stays our burger joint. And again, I use kind of that old-fashioned-y looking green. I do think this is more 50s, 60s colors than 1970s colors, but it gives it that nostalgia. I also liked kind of the crazy green, almost fish scales that I used in there, and kind of the old weathered siding that I used, even though, again, if you look at the pictures at the beginning, everything was done in more of a weathered white and kind of orange vibe, but I just was going with, like I said, more of, I just wanted to have a nostalgia old feel, and I kind of feel like we pulled it off with older looking colors, and I don't know, I liked it, so I kind of kept going with it. And then from there, my one thing that actually turned out exactly as I wanted it. I felt we needed bathrooms on the edge of our little pier, and all I was looking to do was make the most disgusting, janky bathrooms I could possibly imagine. They just needed to be functional, small, and gross. And I think that is absolutely what I ended up doing here. The only thing I didn't like, and somebody can mention to me in the comments down below if you know any other way of doing this, I did kind of a little partition wall, and maybe I should just go in and change it and just do a regular wall, but between the showers. So, you know, when you go to the beach and they have kind of like those yucky showers, and so I did it with what we had. It was just at the end of the boardwalk, so I felt like of everything, this worked for me. Now that everything is built, we can do some of the fun stuff. The thing that pulls your build together is adding the details. So this is where I'm going to start putting little bits and pieces. Here I add a little floaty, which was a nod to Jaws, the original movie, where the little boy gets eaten on a floaty. I probably should not have done that, because this is where I realize I've added some Sims 4:2 conversion items. I will have to see if I can put exactly where I got these, because it's one of the few things I don't have any links for. I might have to remove that, and I'd be very sad about that. Now you're going to see me really work on the other side of the sand dune, the unkept side of the beach. My mind was, this is the side where it's unkept, it's where they don't want you to go. It's a little bit more unsafe. This is where the teens are sneaking down. They have created paths to go party on the beach, and I absolutely wanted it to look like that. I wanted it to be overgrown and unkept. And you're going to see me, not only did I make a path on the side up by the bathrooms, but I even move a little bit of grass down by the beach area, because my feeling was, you know, you're going to even sneak in as a teen on the beach side. So that's kind of what I did. And I used my little shark billboards almost as a keep out kind of sign for that area. And then I used a lot of the grass underneath the boardwalk and around the boardwalk, because even though it's a more kept area, you know, there wouldn't have been people there all the time weed whacking. It would have really been more from just foot traffic and traffic around that would have kept it down. Then another thing that you're going to see me here do in just a second is I did not add very much lighting to this build. And one of the reasons for that is, back when I was a child, you basically went out until it was dark. Your parents were like, don't come home until it's dark, and then you better come home or you were in some serious trouble, unless your parents knew you were having dinner at somebody's house, because your mother put dinner on and you were expected to come home for dinner. And that was one of the things I was thinking. Even if you went to the beach, there was not a whole lot to do unless you went to as a designated large boardwalk. There would maybe be some soft drinks and some hot dogs, but they didn't expect you to just stay. You would have gone home, and you would have gone home for dinner. And so that was the vibe that was going on my beach. You came down, you did a little bit, and then you went home. Then I added this little beach chair all the way by the water, away from some of the other beach chairs, in honor of my grandmother, who would have been the one person who would have stayed for sure until dark with her feet in the water, getting as much sun as she possibly could. I typically do not do a lot of terrain paint and that sort of thing, but you do see me do a little bit, and that's always because it does add depth to your builds, and you'll see me do just a tiny bit of that here. I do add extra shark signs, and that's more of like a keep out, keep off, and then I'm gonna add just some extra detail items before we do a test of the build. We are going to go through really fast what wasn't working and how I fixed it. You saw the original podium wasn't working, and I turned it around. It didn't work. We put the black podium in. It was in a counter. It didn't work. I needed to take it out of the counter and needed to be by itself in order for it to work. My hot dog stand, which I loved, they did not work the way that I needed them to. People could go in, make their own hot dogs, and it did charge them to take the hot dogs, but that was not what I was looking for. So I break the hot dog stand down, make it an arcade, and I put a white bar in there, which didn't work, and I have to put another bar in there as well. I didn't like the vending machines originally because I didn't feel they have a nostalgic vibe, but I had a child that got hungry on the beach that I took down for playtesting. So eventually they go in this little corner hidey hole, and so you're going to see it all kind of working at the end. So that's really kind of how I had to playtest it a bunch of times and see what worked and what didn't. I was really kind of surprised at it all, but we did get it working in the end, and you'll get to see it. Now, how do you get it? I have a Patreon page that's in the description down below, and you can go there. It is free to be a member. It is free to get this, so that's where you can get it. I also have listed all of the custom content that I used other than the Sims 4 items and the 2 cars, and so that will all be on there, and it's ready to go. I want to thank you all for watching. I want to wish you happy simming. Please like and subscribe, and leave your comments down below if you like this lot. See you soon. Bye bye.
You knew there was a shark out there. You knew it was dangerous, but you let people go swimming anyway.